Oh dear God. The entire thing from the toe to just below the knee, carpet of thousands of maggots.
The man's leg was crawling with maggots, and even the doctor was startled when he saw it. He had no idea what this man had been through. The man's name was Thatcher. Thatcher had actually been in the air just last week, but this time, the doctor pushed the case straight onto the intern, and the intern knew right away that he had been handed the dirty work again. The intern figured Thatcher probably just had cellulitis or maybe gangrene, but when the intern looked down at that boot, he almost could not hold it together. From Thatcher's toes all the way up to the lower part of his calf, the leg was covered in maggots. The intern had no idea what had happened to this man. The doctor tried not to gag and ask Thatcher,
Mr. Thatcher, how long has that been going on?
but Thatcher was strangely calm. He said about 4 or 5 days and that it did not hurt. At that point, the doctor was breaking down on the inside, but he still had to act like everything was fine. This was not something they could just wrap up with a bandage. The doctor first had to see what the wound underneath actually looked like. But right now, maggots and dirt were covering everything, so there was no way to judge it. So the doctor had no choice but to send Thatcher with the nurses for a shower, so they could slowly wash everything off his leg.
Patient in T2 needs a shower. By Nurse Renee and Carmen.
Everyone knew the air had a maggot patient. At first, the intern thought he was the unlucky one. More than an hour later, Thatcher was wheeled back in, and the doctor almost did not recognize him. But what really surprised the doctor was the leg. He had expected the tissue underneath to be badly rotted, but once the maggots were washed away, the wound looked strangely clean. It did not look like a severe infection at all. So why would that happen?
There was a spoon stuck in the pot, and I just started stirring it around and
Right after the meal, 3 members of the family were rushed into the ER for emergency treatment, and the doctors suspected poisoning. The moment the mother heard that, she broke down in tears. Before long, the doctor had the trash can from the house brought into the ER, and everyone immediately started digging through it. According to the mother, the family had been eating together that evening. Before long, both of her children started vomiting, and a few minutes later she collapsed on the couch herself. Realizing something was seriously wrong, she quickly had them taken to the ER. At first, the mother thought maybe the family had just gotten sick from something they ate. After all, they had been in the middle of a meal. But the doctor immediately knew something did not add up. If this had just been something they ate, how could all 3 of them get sick at the same time? And it happened way too fast. That made no sense. The doctor started to suspect food poisoning. And when poisoning shows up this fast, the usual suspects are natural gas or carbon monoxide. But the mother in the ER quickly pushed back on that idea because relatives who had been playing pool in the garage were showing the same symptoms. And the garage was not even an enclosed space. Before long, the doctor concluded that this had to be food poisoning. Soon, the stew from that noon meal was brought into the ER, but that stew had been made by the grandmother. It was her signature dish. So how could it possibly have poisoned the whole family?
Fist on the side of his neck.
When the 2 drunk friends brought the boy into the ER, his face was gray and pale. He was almost not breathing anymore. The second day was put in the monitor. The numbers looked even worse.
BP 70 over, palp heart rate is 45.
His blood pressure was crashing, and even his heart rate was starting to give out. The doctor bet on each right there this was not just alcohol. If they lost a few more minutes, he could really die. And the hardest part was his airway looked like something had blocked off the whole thing. The doctor immediately got ready to intubate, but the second the laryngoscopy went in, the doctor's face changed. Normally, at that point, the vocal cord should be obvious right away. But this time, it was different. Every structure inside looked like something had shoved it upward from behind. And those 2 friends beside him had still been playing dumb. Every question, same answer. He is fine. Nothing happened. Until the doctor finally shouted at them.
Your friend's gonna die here right in front of you unless you tell me what the hell happened.
That was when they finally understood how serious it was, and admitted they had been making a bet. This kid had swallowed egg, a whole eggshell and all.
I grabbed his junk and twisted quite hard. He's not paralyzed.
The man laying on the bed was a convicted killer with multiple victims. He said he had slipped in the shower, hit the back of his head in the sink, and from the neck down he could not move anything. Nobody called a photo treat a story like fat ass fake. If this really was a high cervical cord injury, then in the condition he was in now, his life was essentially over. The doctor's first instinct was not to assume he was faking, first treated like a real injury. But just as the exam was about to start, the first problem shot up.
We're gonna need to take off the restraints.
Not gonna happen, Doc.
The guard refused on the spot. In the end, the only compromise was to cut the prison uniform open.
Just cut it off. I don't care.
Went, the heavier it felt. There was no obvious swelling on the back of the head, and when the spine was pressed, nothing stood out. The doctor kept testing sensation farther down. Shoulders, arms, chest, legs, feet. He said he could not feel any of it.
Nipples are very sensitive, and that is a common exam to invoke some painful stimuli to see.
And the hardest part was after the first round of the exam. The doctor still had not found the one piece of evidence that could prove he was lying, which meant this man looked like he was truly paralyzed. But inside, the doctor was starting to suspect something else. Maybe he was notable to move because he was injured. Maybe he was waiting for everyone else to believe it first.
You're gonna look down, look over.
If you're in pain, we can get you something for that.
She doesn't need medicine. Just fix the cut.
While treating a girl with arterial bleeding in her arm, there was a man claiming to be her uncle, who kept interfering with the treatment. He was extremely impatient. During communication, the girl didn't speak at all. She seemed not to understand English. During the examination, the doctor noticed a barcode tattoo on the back of her neck. This suggested that she was very likely a victim of kidnapping or trafficking. The girl's bleeding hadn't been controlled. The doctor immediately instructed to prepare gauze and an emergency surgery. To help her, they needed to find a chance to talk properly. Suddenly, the girl said she needed to use the bathroom. The doctor seized the opportunity and had a nurse accompany her. Later, it was discovered that the girl could fully understand English. This further confirmed the doctor's suspicions. The man claiming to be her uncle, fearing exposure, demanded to cancel the surgery, and insisted on leaving. So the doctor stated that before leaving, a discharge form had to be signed.
Bring the form to me here.
This gave both the doctor and the girl one last chance to talk. The doctor encouraged and comforted the girl, urging her to bravely say she wanted to leave. Next, do you think she can escape from the man? Comment 888 to watch the next episode.